Hello, this is Professor Severson, and I'm your instructor for your Introduction to Psychology course. This video is being filmed on January 3rd, 2023. And the purpose of the video is to provide you with what I hope is a brief overview of how to include APA format citations and references in your submissions. Please note that nothing else needs to be written in APA format. If you just Google APA format, you will see title pages, headings. That does not apply to my requirements for this course. It simply refers to the format in which you need to provide citations and references. Anytime that you mention the title of or paraphrase material from an outside source, meaning it's not from your own mind, you need to document it. This includes videos, articles, material from the textbook, any source that is not your own personal knowledge. Failing to include citations, which you will also hear me refer to here in the video and in your written feedback as in-text citations, and references, means that you are presenting someone else's work as though it's your own, and that constitutes plagiarism. This is serious and can result in a range of consequences, from a score of 0 to being removed from a course. The requirement for providing citations and references applies to all of your written assignments. Failing to take the time to understand how to correctly cite and reference materials, in my experience, results in point loss week after week. So it's worth it to take the time up front to familiarize yourself with how to do it. While it is not possible to provide examples for every scenario that may require citations and references, this submodule has many examples for you to refer to, and it includes additional resources for you, for additional assistance. If you're very unfamiliar with it, plan on spending some time during week 1 looking into the various additional resources I provided. What a citation or full reference should not look like is simply a web link, web address, or a snippet from the textbook. Citations, also called in-text citations, and references are two separate items, and you can never have one without the other. Never simply list a source at the end of what you write without identifying where you used the material within your writing. And when you do put a reference and you identify it as such, use the word reference as I've shown you here. That's the correct terminology for APA format. So the difference between a citation and a reference, or an in-text citation, same thing as a citation, and a full reference, is that the citation is placed within what you write, within the text, if you will, of the body of what you write, immediately after you mention it, paraphrase, or quote it. This tells the reader specifically where you are incorporating outside material. And I'll show you an example of that in a moment. The full reference, and remember that's the word you want to use, goes at the end of your writing, of your post. It contains more detailed information than just the citation. Now again, if you look up APA, or even in the supplemental video I provided done by the library, it will tell you that a reference list is a separate page. That would only be if you're writing a paper, which you do not have to do in this course. So there's never a separate page for just the reference. I'll show you what it looks like. It just goes at the end of your response or your post. So to get into how to actually do it, if you named something like the textbook or you paraphrased material from it, your citation will simply contain, and it will be in parentheses, the author's last name and the date of the publication, and then you'll end the parentheses. If there are multiple authors, and there are with our current textbook, you may put the first listed author's last name, and then you use the phrase et al., followed by the date of publication. That's it. If you use a direct quote, which itself requires quotation marks, it's a little bit different than if you paraphrased or named something. It requires, again in parentheses, the author's last name, the date of publication, so same information as above, but you must also include either the page or the paragraph that the direct quote was found. And it's really that simple. Don't try to get around it in your writing by saying something like the chapter says, or our textbook, or the author. You're still going to need the citation, including the author's last name and the date of publication. This is an example of the actual reference, and you are free to copy and paste this. It's in several of the documents in this helping module. But it would say the word references, and it would just go right underneath your post or your response if it's a response to a chapter question. And it is the author's last name, the first initials only of the first name, comma, here's the additional author's last name, comma, first initials of the first name, comma, and the third author, comma, first name. Then the date of publication, in parentheses, followed by a period, and then the name of the textbook, which is Psychology 2E, and this is the publisher. And then if you are using the book that's directly embedded in your course, in other words, a digital format of it, you would include this after. And that is it. I will show you a little bit more what that would look like, and these are all examples that are available to you under another document entitled Discussions, Descriptions, and Examples. So this would be somebody's discussion response, and they would start by saying, I've read chapter 11 of our psychology textbook, because that is often a first requirement in your discussions. So the chapter is titled Personality, and it is in quotation marks, and then because it has multiple authors, you're just required to write the last name, this little phrase, if you will, et al., and the date of publication. So that's your in-text citation. As soon as you mention the textbook, in this case, you have to have a citation. Then this particular post goes on to use a direct quote, and that direct quote is in quotation marks, followed by the citation. Same requirements as above, author's last name, date of publication, but because it's a direct quote, it either needs to have the page number or the paragraph number. If you're, the way you're accessing it doesn't tell you the page number. It actually doesn't need both. I will be happy with just one. The person goes on to write. They use more quotes. Just a little side note, it's fine to use direct quotes, but don't overly rely on them, because that doesn't show your understanding of the material. That just demonstrates that you know how to locate and type out someone else's words. So you need to always include your own thoughts. So this is pretty much all the way through. This person uses, I would say, too many quotes, but it does give you the example of how to cite it. And then in terms of the reference, when you're all done with your post, it's going to say the word references, and there's your information. I'm going to just skip over this example and let you know, well, let me back up. This is a discussion question on disorders. So a little bit different way this person worded it. They said, according to page 564 of the textbook, So that's good that they did that, but they still have to do the citation for it. And when you read in some of the examples where it says the previous is the in-text citation, that's not something you would include, so I would actually just omit this. It's just in there to show you what it is. So this is what the person wrote, and then part of it was they were required to view a video. So they're referring to that. During the experiment, which is part of a video they had to watch, Cooper attempted to perform many tasks. Well, when he's referring, or this writer is referring to the experiment, that needs a citation. There's your in-text citation right there. This was from CNN in 2014. Additionally, this question required that the student choose a video and identify it. So they have identified that they chose to watch one that happens to be a crash course video, and this was the title of it. And as they discussed it, they then did their in-text citation, Crash Course 2014. The full references go after, and this is just an example of how they listed them. This is what a YouTube citation requires. They were both YouTubes, and then the textbook. That is basically it. As I said, it's just not possible to cover every scenario. Here's another one that referred to a video. So they have the title of the video and the date. I would accept that. Here's the full reference, which does contain the link. So I hope you found that helpful. In the module itself, I do identify that you can refer to the OWL at Purdue website for some help. Our Tutoring and Learning Center, tutor.com, which I will show you is available at the top of your course page, as well as any other sources that you may find helpful. It's a little bit of a pain, perhaps, if you're not used to it, but you do really need to figure out how to do this and hit the ground running with it.